Mastering amateur radio safety, the two pillars of responsible operation. The two pillars of radio safety are structural and electrical safety, protecting your station, your home, and yourself from physical hazards like lightning and high voltage electricity. This is about building a physically robust and safe installation. RF exposure safety, protecting yourself and others from the invisible energy of radio waves. This is about understanding and respecting the biological effects of your transmissions. Structural and electrical safety, taming the elements, protecting your investment and your home. Which is a proper grounding method for a tower? Separate 8-foot grounds rods for each tower leg, bonded to the tower and each other. Why should you avoid attaching an antenna to a utility pole? The antenna could contact high voltage power lines. Which of the following is true when installing grounding conductors used for lightning protection? Sharp bends must be avoided. Which of the following establishes grounding requirements for an amateur radio tower or antenna? Local electrical codes. RF exposure safety, respecting the invisible, protecting people from radio frequency energy. Why do exposure limits vary with frequency? The human body absorbs more RF energy at some frequencies than at other. At which of the following frequencies does maximum permissible exposure, MPE, have the lowest value? 50 megahertz. What is the definition of duty cycle during the averaging time for RF exposure? The percentage of time that a transmitter is transmitting. Why is duty cycle one of the factors used to determine safe RF radiation exposure levels? It affects the average exposure to radiation. How does the allowable power density for RF safety change if duty cycle changes from 100% to 50%? It increases by a factor of 2. Which of the following is an acceptable method to determine whether your station complies with FCC RF exposure regulations? All these choices are correct. By calculation, by computer modeling, by measurement. Which of the following actions can reduce exposure to RF radiation? Relocate antennas. How can you make sure your station stays in compliance with RF safety regulations? By reevaluating the station whenever an item in the transmitter or antenna system is changed. How does RF radiation differ from ionizing radiation, radioactivity? RF radiation does not have sufficient energy to cause chemical changes in cells and damage DNA. The responsible operator's commitment. True mastery in amateur radio is built on a foundation of safety. It requires diligence in both the physical world of structures and grounding, and the invisible world of radio frequency energy. Build safe, operate smart.